Hello guys, and welcome back to this channel. Today we're going to be doing ugly number part 2. So in the last video we did part 1 of the question. So for those who haven't watched it, you might want to go and watch that one first, because the solution for this one kind of builds on top of that. So this question is very interesting. It says write a program to find the nth ugly number, and ugly numbers are positive numbers whose prime factors only include 2, 3, or 5. For example, if the input n is equal to 10, the output is 12, and you're given the explanation, then they say note that 1 is an ugly number, and n doesn't exceed 1690. So to solve this question, you kind of need to understand that for all these numbers that you're going to get, they are going to basically have factors which are 2, 3, and 5. It might be that the number only has a factor which is 2, or it might only have 3, or it might only have 5, or it might have a combination of both, like I said, 2 by 3, or 3 by 5, or 2 by 3 by 5. So the numbers that you're going to be using to populate, your sequence are going to be numbers, that are either whose prime factor is either 2 only, or 3 only, or 5 only, or combinations of these numbers, 2 by 3, 2 by 2 by 3, 3 by 3 by 5, that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to try to make a sequence that starts from the smallest to the largest, because that's the only way we can do it anyway. So what we need to do first of all is to basically declare three variables to hold the index in the array. If you don't understand what I'm saying right now, do not worry. When the code starts building up, you understand why I'm saying we should declare three variables. So we're going to declare those variables as int. Let's say the first one represents the index for 3, so let's call it index 3. The other one, actually let's also initialize them, all of them, 0, and then index for, so there's 2, 3, and 5. So let's start by declaring for 2, and then 3, initialize that to 0, and then 5 is also 0, right? So we have these three variables, and then we also need the array that is going to hold our sequence, and it's going to be of size n. So it can be a vector, but I'm just going to use dynamic memory because I like using it. So I'm going to say int arr is equal to new int array of size n, and since we know that the first number is always equal to 1 for the sequence, we can put that in right now. So we say arr 0 is equal to what? Is equal to 1, and then now we can start building up our sequence starting from index 1, because index 0 already contains the number 1. So we're going to say for int I is equal to 1, then I is less than n, and I plus plus, like this. And what we need to do is we basically want to find out possibilities, like possible numbers that we can use to populate the array. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to say, let's declare the possible number that we can use to populate, which is for the factor, or for the prime factor number 2. So let's call it possible 2 is basically equal to arr. Then we use the index for 2, which is right now is equal to 0, which means this here will be 1. Then we multiply that by 2, like this. And then, because like I said, the numbers that we are going to be using to populate are going to be numbers whose prime factors are only 2, 3, or 5, but we only want to take the smallest. So we'll also declare for, say, possible for 3 is equal to arr index for 3, which is 1 at this moment. So we multiply that by 3. And then also int possible for 5 is equal to arr index 5. Then multiply that by what? By 5. So essentially for the first loop, you're going to have this here as being equal to 2. This one here is being equal to 3, because it's 1 by 2, 1 by 3, and then this one here will be equal to 5. I hope you started to get the hang of this. And then what you now need to do is you now need to take the minimum of these numbers to populate the array. So you're going to say int let's just call it, we're going to call it final. Final might be reserved. Alright, this is C++, it's okay. So int final, let's call it final number, because I think final is a keyword. Yeah, I was right. final number that you're actually going to use to populate the array is going to be equal to the minimum between these three numbers that you have here. So the minimum between possible 2, and then we also say minimum between possible 3 and possible 5, like this. So the minimum number between these three is the number that you want to use as the next number. So once you get it here, you now have the number that you want to put in the array. So it means we can now populate our array index I. So we're going to say arri is equal to final number like this. But now what needs to happen is that since you've populated, you know, that index, now you need to move the index between index 2, index 3, and index 5. Whichever one that we used now has to move to the next number. So I'm going to demonstrate what that is going to be looking like in a second. But now let's say if the final number that we found, you know, is equal to possible 2, let's say, then you know that the index for 2 needs to what? To be incremented by 1. And then if, you know, the final number is equal to possible 3, then that index for 3 needs to be incremented. And then if the final number for is equal to possible 5, then index 5 needs to be incremented. And then just like that, this is gonna go on and on and on and on and on and on. And then what we need to return at the end is basically the number at n-1. But since we're using dynamic memory, I'm just gonna free it. So I'm gonna say int answer is equal to arr n-1, so that I can free the memory in arr. And then I'm going to delete that memory. And then just return my answer here. So what is really going on here is that let's look at the left side for a second at this sequence here. Let's suppose that our array didn't have these numbers, these 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12. So at first arr0 is equal to 1, right? And then actually let me use here at the top. So let's say arr is building, and the first number, you know, is what? Is 1. Now to build the second number, the index for 2 is 0, the index for 3 is 0, and the index for 5 is 0. When you enter this loop over here, possible 2 is going to become array index 2, which is equal to 0 by 2. And then possible 3 is going to become array index 3, which is 0 by 3. And then possible 5 is going to become array index 5 by 5. So that's going to be 2, 3, and 5. And the minimum between all these three numbers is 2. So the next number that's going to be populated in this array is 2. And then what's going to happen now is this index 2 is going to be incremented to become 1. So it now points at this number here, which is 2, right? Now we come back again into this loop. Possible 2 is going to become array index 2, which is equal to 2 at this point, because index 2 now changed to 1, and then multiplied by 2, which is what? Which is 4. So now we have this, let's just say is 4 for this second time. Let's remove these ones. And then possible 3 is going to become array index 3 by 3, but index 3 at that point in time is equal to 0. So it's 1 multiplied by 3, which is what? 3. And then index 5 is still 0, so this becomes 5. And the minimum between these three numbers is what? Is 3. So the next number in this sequence becomes 3 at the top here. And then after that, you need to get the fourth number. And what are you going to do? You're going to basically come back again to the loop, but index 3 has been incremented because it was the one that we chose, you know, as the final number, possible 3. So index 3 becomes equal to 1, and which means that it's now pointing to 2, just like index 2 here. So you're going to multiply again when you come back in the loop. This would be 2 by 2, which is 2, 4. This would be 2 by 3, which is now 6. And then this will be 1 by 5, which is now 5. The minimum among all these numbers is equal to 4. So the next number becomes 4. And on and on and on, because when it becomes 4 now, index 2 gets incremented, then now points to 3. So that's how the array is being built up, you know, bit by bit. You're just basically constructing a combination of factors that gives you the lowest number, and then you keep going on and on and on. So yeah, so let's just run this code for the first base case to see, you know, if we made any syntax errors or anything that we need to clear up. So let's see. right? It passes. Let's just submit this code and see if it passes all the cases. Right, see, it passes. So this is how you solve the ugly number part 2. I'll be doing part 3, which is called super ugly number, in the next video. So for those who are new to this channel, please just like and subscribe for more good videos like these. And for those who've been with me, see you in the next video.